cheap dopamine will not fill the void within you. Only these three things will. Junk food, social media, drugs. None of these things are going to fill the void within you. Only three things have the capability to fill the void that is inherent in all of us as humans. The three things are creation, balancing the relationship between creation and consumption. It's number one. Number two is relationship. Your relationship to yourself and others being balanced. And the third one, I'll leave that one for the end. That'll be a secret. All right, so creation, balancing creation with consumption. Creation is a requirement of being a fully fledged human life. Creation is what separates us from the rest of the animals. Whenever we create, we are fulfilled. You could say it's our purpose. So in the modern society, oftentimes we become imbalanced in our relationship of creation to consumption. We tend to overconsume and attempt to fill that void within us. And overconsumption, imbalanced to the amount of creation we experience in our lives, will not successfully fill that void. So we must create. And what we create will be art. And this art doesn't need to necessarily be something that's obviously art, like dancing or music or videography or a painting. All of those things work. They are absolutely valid routes of creation, and they will work. All that matters is that you're creating. But you can create logical systems like engineering and protocols, formulas, strategies. All of those things count too. That's still art. What matters is that we are creating. When we balance our creation with our consumption, this fills the void. This fills the void that many of us have, that we struggle with and attempt to fill with only consumption. But only consumption will not work. We must balance our consumption and our creation. So that's number one. Number two is our relationship. We have to balance our relationship with ourselves and with others. We must exist in genuine, conscious relationship with ourselves and with others. So that means self-discovery, which really that takes place through balancing your creation and your consumption. So that one's kind of taken care of by the first one. And then there's our relationship to others. Being in service to others and giving love to others, expanding our identity to include others, to become unified with others in love. And what that is unification, love, and identity are all connected, in that what love is to become one with something, is to expand your identity to include that thing. If you love someone, you've expanded your identity to include that person, so that if that person becomes threatened, or endangered, you feel threatened or endangered. You have become one because you love them. Love is unity, is the expansion of the identity from the separate self to a more inclusive, universal self. And as your identity of a separate self dissolves and expands and gets bigger and bigger, your experience of love and reality expands in tandem. And so this is the number 2 thing that will fill your void. Expanding your identity, loving others, and existing in relationship with others, and existing in relationship with others in a way that you are of service to them. Not just existing in relationship to others to be of service to yourself, to accomplish something for yourself. When you're with others and you are attempting to help them grow, attempting to make their lives better, this is ultimately fulfilling. And this doesn't need to be something like you're literally, physically helping them with some problem. It can be something as simple as seeing them as perfect the way they are, as loving them unconditionally for exactly the way they are. This alone is a great service, incredible service, actually an invaluable service to provide to others, is to love them unconditionally, to see them as perfect. And you don't need to do any action. That's only vision. And of course, materially, physically helping them in some ways is great too, and that also works. And then number 3. Number 3 is balancing the masculine and the feminine energy within yourself and reality, within your experience of life. And so this applies to the first 2. This is how you balance your implementation of relationships and creation, is by balancing them from the masculine and feminine angles. So masculine and feminine does not mean man and woman. That's just the tip of the iceberg. Masculine and feminine go much deeper. It's hard to describe, but for the purpose of this video, masculine means order and abstraction, and feminine means spontaneity and essence. So we must balance the essence of our experience with the abstraction of our experience, and we must balance the order with the spontaneity of our experience. This is what it means to balance masculine and feminine energy. So these things apply to the first 2 ways of filling the void. Well, the essence of our experience is inherently contradicted with the abstraction of our experience. So, for example, the essence of our experience cannot be contained in words, but the abstraction of our experience is the conceptualization, the mental imagination of reality into a story. That is how the masculine and the feminine interplay within the manifestation of our experience. So, in addition, spontaneity and order. The manifestation of reality is inherently random. That is the essence. The essence of reality is spontaneous and random. Even in physics, the essence is known to be entropy, which is disorder. The essence of reality is disorder. The law of entropy is the law that governs all of the manifestation of the material aspect of reality. And even within this entropy, the fundamental force of entropy, the fundamental nature, the essence of reality being disordered and spontaneous, order still exists. How is that? Because the nature of existence is inherently a paradox in that we can only experience the essence of reality by mentally abstracting it into conceptualization. The nature of conceptualization, using our imagination to create concepts, to dissect the essence of reality into a conceptual matrix, this is mental. This is purely mental. Conceptualization is purely mental. And so order, we perceive order through our mental aspect of perception. And this mental aspect of perception does see genuine order that exists spontaneously within the disorder, a spontaneous mechanism that perpetuates the essence of reality. So I know that might have got a little bit heavy for a second there, but hopefully you're still with me. So the masculine is the mental abstraction of the essence of reality, which is the feminine. And only through mental conceptualization can we temporarily see and observe order, but all order returns to disorder. That's how you know it's not the essence. All order must return to spontaneity later on. But the paradoxical nature of our experience is that this order and disorder exist, they coexist equally. It's, even though the essence is fundamental, the essence can't be experienced without the abstraction of the essence. So that is the nature of our perception, is that we must perceive through relativity, but there is an absolute reality that underlies the relativity of our perception. So this is the interplay between masculine and feminine that governs the manifestation of our experience. So anyway, how does that apply into the first two? Okay, so we bring balance to the order and spontaneity of our relationships with people. So we exist in relationship with people for a purpose and for no purpose. We hang out with people and experience time with them and have experiences with them for no real reason sometimes, and then sometimes we do it for a reason. Like, you might get together with a group or a friend and say, okay, we're getting together for the purpose of bird watching today. We're going to be bird watching, or we're going to get together to play a video game, or watch a movie, or go on a hike, or play a sport. You got together with the intention of doing something specific. That would be bringing order to relationship. And then bringing spontaneity to relationship is saying, oh, let's just get together and then hang out, and no plan in particular for what we're going to do. Let's just be together for the experience of being together. That would be how you'd bring balance from a masculine and feminine angle to your relationships. Because the essence of a relationship is to just be with people, right? Just to be. And then the abstraction of the essence is to be with people for a purpose. See, whenever people get imbalanced in a masculine versus feminine way, it kind of looks like this. You might get, depressed and think thoughts like, what's my purpose? What's the purpose of my existence? If you're thinking like that, then you're imbalanced towards the masculine. You have to bring in some feminine, because what's happening there is, well, look, having a purpose is great. Having a goal is great. An objective, that's good. But an artist doesn't question the purpose of their art. A dancer, you don't go up to a dancer and say, why are you dancing? What is the purpose of your dance? No, the dancer is just dancing for the joy of dancing, right? That's balancing the feminine, is doing something just for the joy of doing it, not necessarily to achieve something purpose-driven, objective-driven, goal-focused. You don't go up to an artist who's painting a masterpiece and say, what is the purpose What is the function of this painting? What goal is this painting achieving? No. The painting achieves its goal just by being what it is. Whenever you see the painting, the goal is achieved. So, balancing the masculine and the feminine, you don't ask questions like, oh, what's the purpose of life? What's the meaning of life? No. The meaning is inherent in the experience itself. For relationships, balancing, and from this angle, we balance our relationships by having a relationship for a purpose outlined sometimes and sometimes not. And then for yourself, sometimes you take time for yourself to say, okay, I'm going to achieve this goal. I'm going to spend time working towards something. And that's great. That's amazing. And then sometimes you spend your time with yourself saying, I'm just going to be here and I don't know what's going to come next. I don't know what's about to flow out of me. And that's great too. And then you self-discover through both of those routes in a balanced way. You have both. If you were imbalanced towards the feminine, what that could look like is you set these goals for yourself that you are really passionate about achieving, objectives that you'd really like to see actualized, and then you're just like, well, I don't feel like doing it right now. There's a piece of it, a little piece of that goal that you don't feel like doing right now in the moment. And so then you set all these goals for yourself, but you just don't finish any of your projects because you're too spontaneous and you don't see anything through. That would be like an imbalance toward the feminine. And so then how do you apply this feminine and masculine balancing to number one, which is creation and consumption? Well, I think you can probably intuit by now. You create and consume with a purpose in mind sometimes, with an objective or a goal in mind sometimes, and then sometimes you create and consume with no purpose, no goal, no objective. You're just simply going with the flow in the moment. So that's it really. Those are the three things. Number one is balancing creation and consumption. Number two is balancing relationship with others and the self, implementing service to others. Number three is balancing feminine and masculine aspects of all of these things within your existence. All right. That's good. Hope this helped. Thanks for watching. Peace.